What's up, guys? Welcome back to my podcast, Not Your Average Desi Brown Girl. It's been a while since I've filmed an episode before, and I'm like, it's a. I remember I said I would start posting a lot more, and then I went on like a little hiatus. So, partially, I'm to blame. But welcome back to my podcast because today we're actually going. Well, starting today, I'm actually going to be putting more time and effort into this because I just realized I have a bad habit of doing projects and abandoning them. But today we're not going to be ending this. Today's episode is going to be really interesting. So it's kind of a reflection episode because I feel like it's not solely needed, but I feel like it's kind of going to be a good episode. So we're also going to reminisce about the past and how I have multiple funny coincidences and my reflection on this past of 2022 because I feel like obviously 2022 is the time I started this project. Mind blowing, and I feel like a little reflection is good because I feel like obviously it's one of those years where like growing and learning, and a very funny story is going to be in this episode at some point. But yes, so this is kind of a reflection episode and the episode before 2023 because we are almost close to 2023. We're almost like 2 weeks away, like around 2 weeks, I would guess, to the year 2023. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I think. I'm not really sure about that, but yes, so that's the part. So 2022, let's start it like that. It's a huge, crazy year. What I can say is the most funniest, like, I guess it's the year that's been the most hard. I don't know, it isn't the most hardest, but it's been hard. It's been fun. It's been crazy. It's been a lot of words. I have a lot of verbs or not verbs, adjectives to describe it, but I think it's either taught me a lot because I don't know why, because I think instance, so recently this year, something happened. And I feel like obviously some people like give in to their like depression or their anxiety or whatever they fucking have, and then they're like, oh, I give up. So I feel like the one really good skill I learned about this year is not giving up, which I would say I give up a lot. But I felt like this year I kind of took on a lot. I kind of got better in life. I kind of got better to where I'm standing, and I feel like it's so important to like solidly just stand at that point because it's so hard to do that in life, and I feel like it's kind of an accomplishment. It's like a mini accomplishment, almost worth a huge accomplishment, but it's kind of like that. I faced a lot of my fears this year. There was a lot of crazy things that
But
happened
yeah,
this
I
year
think
that
it's a
I'm like,
crazy, it's not a crazy year, it's an interesting year
I'm not saying it's a
compared to
bad
anything
thing,
because
but
I
I feel
it's an
like
average
this
thing.
year I've struggled with peace a lot more than anything, and having that peace in my life, it does take a lot of hard work to keep that peace in my life, but I think it was so hard to actually keep that peace in my life. And I think that's kind of this is a mini accomplishment also because I feel like fighting to keep peace in my life was so hard and so painful. So very freaking painful. And I'm like so glad I fought to keep that peace because it's just peace. It's something that, everyone wants in their lives and everyone needs in their lives. And that's kind of another accomplishment of mine in my club. I think I've talked about in this episode, on this podcast, but I don't know what episode I did it on. But it was so cool because I think it kind of made me, I guess, realize how farther I can get in life, like how more I can go, how deeper I can go, and what I can do to continue on with this journey that I'm on right now because I think it's kind of hard. So, obviously, let's face the elephant in the room. So, not last, I don't know what episode it was, but I have not posted in a long time. But I think, let's face the elephant in the room, relationships. Relationships are sucky. Let's keep that in mind. All relationships are sucky. Yes, in the past couple of podcasts, I have talked about my son partner and more. So I feel like also partner and friendship and familial relationships are so hard to maintain. But I think after an incident, not an incident, but something happens, I feel like, truth be told, people drift apart, and that's okay. And I think it took me a long time to be okay with that. And I feel like it's like one of those things for me achieving peace. And I value all my relationships, my friendships, and it's like, whoa, I'm at peace because I think it was so hard to be by myself because I generally hated being by myself because I feel like if I was by myself, I would overthink. I would be scared of what's going to happen, and like I guess life, not life in general. So I feel like I was so afraid of being alone, but now I feel like over time goes along, I will definitely be okay with being alone because that's one of those main things in life is to, I guess, me be alone, not just for girls but for guys as well. Just be alone because you will always have that person in your life, but I feel like it's always good to be alone to really know you. Like solo dates. Like I think funny story recently this year, I started going solo dates where I get my nails done and I'll get sushi or pizza or any sort of food that I'm literally, but it's mostly sushi because I don't know why nails and sushi they always coincide with each other because my nail place is right next to my sushi place. The sushi place I get food from. So I think it's really funny. That's also one of the things I'm like so always get into getting. I think solo dates, self care dates, like literally anything I do by myself. Like also, I don't think this is a red flag, but I think the fact that I also like definitely take some time being alone. Like I will literally be in my room eating snacks, watching a movie by myself, and I will literally just isolate myself, not for bad reasons, but for reasons for myself, which I think is a main goal towards moving on and being successful with 2022, not 2022, 2023. Because I think with my 2022, it was semi successful, but I feel like there's also more I could do to lean toward the very successful side. But on the other hand, let's talk about some cool things I've done this year because I feel like this is gonna be a reflection this episode, which is gonna be really interesting. And sorry, guys, I've gotten three piercings. So that I almost like fucked up my words. Um, excuse my language, I said the wrong word, but actually, you know what? I'm gonna curse. I should also warn, I love cursing. I'm a really bad cursor. But I think there have been some weird things recently. So like this year, I've gotten used to acrylics because I've never really had those. Strange. That's next. Yeah. Um, I've gotten tattoos. I've gotten piercings. I have three piercings. I have a cartilage piercing. I have a piercing above my cartilage, and I've got my nose pierced many times because I really failed to learn the ability to like keep a healthy piercing. I've cut my hair a lot. I got bangs to change up my look. It's kind of crazy. But now, let's go deeper into some stories. So, not stories, but like more. So, I ended up getting a bunch of tattoos this year. I have five tattoos altogether. Five. It's five. I'm do plan on getting more in the future, but I'm not really sure about that yet. I've had five tattoos. So I have two tattoos on my left wrist, two tattoos on my wrist on my left hand, and then my right hand. I have two tattoos on my left hand. It's like sort of close to my wrist kind of thing. I have a tattoo that says core, which is my mother's maiden name, but it was supposed to be my name. But funny story, my dad was so tired that he put his own name. So like I got my dad's name, but I'm still a core heart. Because it's really funny. Because my grandfather actually called me by he will call me nitsimran, so my real name. But instead of using my actual last name, he'll use core because I don't know. I guess there's a resemblance to both of his grandkids because both of his granddaughters actually. So I think that's kind of cool. That's really cool. I think that he goes reference because I feel like I love my last name that I originally have, but it's just like it's kind of average. It's kind of boring. I kind of like that he calls him by that, and it's very endearing because he's such a sweetheart. My grandfather is such a sweetheart. Yeah, that's one of those, and it's also my great grandmother who passed away from Alzheimer's. That was her name, not her maiden name, but her real name. So I think it's kind of like an honorary to her because I knew her a lot as a kid. I'm the oldest, and I never really got close, but kind of felt like I was close to her. So that's kind of one of those things. And I do have that rebellious personality that I get from her, from my mother's side family, a lot. I do. It's kind of weird. Fun fact: I'm the oldest sister out of 11 brothers and one younger sister. Yeah, I also have another tattoo. Is a butterfly. It's like a butterfly fluttering tattoo, which is also a sign of resilience because women are resilient, and I feel like resilience is so important because I feel like the butterfly just means a lot to me because butterfly can mean anything like resilience towards life, through harsh times and all that. So I feel like it kind of matches the meaning having my mother's maiden name and the butterflies over because it kind of gives like a good look. And I'm also into wrist tattoos a lot. The third tattoo I have is on my right arm. It's on my wrist, kind of the same area where my maiden name is. It is a ribbon, but it's not like colored in. It's just like straight up black ink. It's the breast cancer awareness ribbon, which I got that back in October for breast cancer awareness because a lot of people don't know. Um, I have I am at risk for it, but my mom is a breast cancer survivor. This is her fourth year. She's in remission. Queen, slay. So I feel like it's always a reminder that I can, that I would like to, it's something that sucks, but it's okay. Um, my fourth tattoo is on my lower back, is on my top of my back, but on my left side of my body. It's the Siki sign. If you guys know what the Siki sign is, the Siki, I'm pronouncing these wrong really badly. The Siki sign. The Siki sign is the Khanda, which basically is me embracing my culture. So I have it on my back, my lower back, on my like kind of bicep thing. I think it's my bicep, but it's kind of really cool. Um, that, and I also have a heart on my shoulder, which is a really cool tattoo on my arm, which I love. But yeah, what else am I thinking? I have a heart tattoo on my shoulder because I was putting my heart on my shoulder. It's a thing. But yeah, I think it's kind of weird. I've gone into the fact that the phase of liking tattoos and the thrill seeking fact behind tattoos, it's so bad that I definitely do plan on getting more, but it's really interesting. But yeah, also we're gonna end off like that's one of the biggest weirdest things so far, I would say. Maybe like in my actual mind, like thought of it. I've also made a lot of friends. I've also done a lot of crazy things, but I do have a crazy story. Guys, I don't like talking about the story, but it's very funny. Very funny. So, when I'm gonna start the story out, so this is gonna be a really funny story for this episode. I'm definitely gonna do another funny story very soon in the next probably episode, but it's a really funny story, very funny. So I have to recall this to being about 2 months ago, I think, and I remember it was when I think I went out to a party. Okay, and it's not like I hadn't partied before, but I hadn't partied in a while. So I just had a party. I said go to a party, and I go out and I'm drunk. I'm drunk on whiskey, straight up, like pure whiskey. It's really funny. And so we're waiting to get in. The parties are like the door, like it's a frat party. So we're gonna keep it that standard. It's a frat party, which believe it or not, everyone knows what a frat party is, but they don't know how far the limits go. So I'm in my sluttiest outfit ever. I remember the day of I went and got the most sluttiest thing ever, and it's like the most sluttiest outfit ever. So I got the most sluttiest outfit, and then I decided to head over to like party. I got my stuff. Like I was drinking. I was pre-gaming a little bit because I didn't want to plan on drinking a lot that night because I had to work the next day. So I'm pre-gaming and I'm at the door, and this dude. So I have a really bad history with Indian fobs. So this dude's talking to me. He's like, "Oh, can I get a sip?" So I'm being nice, and I'm like, I offer like air sip to this dude and his friends. And basically, I asked them how they know about the party and blah blah blah. So we're talking, and this dude turns out to be Punjabi, and given the culture standard kind of thing, I flirt back, which was the horrible mistake I did. So everyone's flirting with this guy. So at that point, um, these group of guys have my attention. It's one of those things. So then me and my friend show up, and I'm dancing, and these three guys keep eyeing me from the other side of the dance floor. And because they're like, oh gosh, she's cute. She's cute. This was when I recently got my bangs. Now it's my whole face. I'm still on my whole face, but like kind of fucking explain it. Still a whole face. Still a fucking whole face. But still that. So I'm dancing. Then I'm dancing with my friends, and I'm, and then so I So this guy, I don't remember his name, because this was from a couple months ago. He asked me to go dance with him. I'm like, great. He's like, do you want to go? They were gonna go to the city at like this was at the party started at like 10, so around like 10:30 something. He's like, oh, we're gonna go to the city. You want to join us? And I was like, oh no, thanks, I'm good. So he's starting to dance. So he like he's like, so I'm dancing. I'm like, so eventually I was like, I asked him to go dance because I was very drunk. It was like liquid courage. So I'm like, you want to dance? So then we dance. We're dancing, and the funny, absolutely story. The guy who was flirting me in the first place was literally watching me get with his best friend, kind of thing. And it's like really funny because I was like, damn, I really just played this guy. And um, so I'm dancing night away, and then I take the guy out to the back to make out, and we're just having fun. And I got stares from a bunch of people because they're like, it's kind of not party, not the good party behavior, but it's still party behavior. But that's it. And I remember after that night, it was really great. So I went home, I slept, I was so hungover. The next day, I get a DM from that one guy, and he was like, "Hey, you left early last night." I was like, "Yeah, I wasn't feeling too good, so I left early." And then he's like, "Oh, let's get some breakfast tomorrow morning, like in the morning." So this is like 8:30 in the morning. I drop my mom off to work. I'm like, "Yeah, let's go get fucking breakfast." We get breakfast, and I'm like hungover as shit. So like I'm screwed. So you can't get past anything past me. Like I'm just gonna be like whatever. So at this point, I'm in like a hoodie, like an oversized hoodie, and probably a pair of like leggings, sports leggings, and like my comfy Crocs. So I'm just like basically there's hungover, holding a water bottle for my dear life because I'm like so hungover. It's really bad. But so then I'm like, okay, great. So I go home, and this guy and we did talk back and forth, and after that, nothing really happened. Nothing really happened. So after that, it was like over. But it's also something. This also the next part of the story. So I did not hear from him. So I tried making a move on him, and he was like, "I'm too busy." So I would never go for a guy who does not have the time for me. So I went the whole Tinder phase, and it's just really interesting, really interesting. So I told Tinder phase this guy was not even interesting enough. So then the guy I was originally flirting with. So we're gonna call him Fob, like OG Fob. We're gonna say OG Fob, and then we're gonna say Fob, and then OG Fob, and then we're gonna say cute guy for the guy who I danced at the party. So OG Fob, this guy. So at this point, I'm gonna so re up to worsen. It was December, or it was early this month. Um, I went to high school formal. So maybe my friends are going, and I'm waiting for them to show up. And my friends are dancing the night, but it's like desi theme, so it's like really fun. So I see this guy in a plaid shirt show up. Keep in mind, I don't know what the fuck just happened. So me and my friend are dancing like across the area. So if you think about it, like left across, I'm like near the door. He's near the windows, and I'm dancing. And the guy's like, so I'm dancing with my friend, all fun. And this dude literally like says, "Remember me?" And as some guy is supposed to remember me, like, "Do you remember me?" And I say, "Do you remember me?" He says, "You remember me?" And then I'm like so shocked. My friends like tell me like someone's behind me. I'm like, "Who's behind me?" So then I turn around and I see it's the guy from that party. So now in my mind is a question is, how the fuck does he know who I am, and how does he know about this? This is my school. I never told him I went to Adelphi. I never did. And then he's like, "Oh, so and keep in mind that the formal one that I went to in my school was basically straight up the formal. Every brown guy showed up, regardless of where they went to. And it was funny enough. He was like, so he whispered me as a joke. I was drunk that night, so I brought alcohol. And then he was like, "Darulite." So he's like, basically, "Did you bring a drink?" I did not bring a fucking drink. No, not a single drink. So then I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm like, no, please leave me alone. So I'm like, not flirting with him, just like making him not making like, hoping that he walks away without a scratch because I really don't care enough because I really don't want to handle this. And I don't want to talk to him because he makes me very uncomfortable. So we were trying the dancing, and then again, he comes back to whisper in my ear and he's like, "Oh, do you want to go out to my car and drink? Because apparently they keep alcohol and shit in their car. I don't know who does this shit, but people do. Some brown people do. So OG Fob, basically this guy, OG Fob, and then he's like, I flirting with me dancing. He starts dancing with me and I flirting, so I'm dancing, right? I'm doing some bhangra, so I don't really expect to flirt in this case. I really don't. So I'm just having fun with my friends. And then he goes to sit down with his friend, so I'm basically in a suit, and he keeps staring at me. So he keeps like I don't know, he keeps staring at me while I'm dancing, and then his friend. So his friend also there's another guy, so we're gonna call him Bob number 2. He is off course on the other side of the floor, and he he's a straight fob, we can tell. Like it's so freaking obvious. And excuse me guys, sorry about that, but he's there for so I think he's cute, so I ask him to dance with me. And so as we're dancing and we're talking, and he's so cool. So we're talking and we're dancing, you know, nothing of any sort comes to my mind. And then he later starts staring at me more, like creepier more. So, and then I think, and then, so after that night, it was so creepy that he kept asking me about it again. And I was like, no, thank you, I don't want to see you, you're uncomfortable. So, funny stories of a Basic Brown Girl. Okay, if you meet an OG brown guy, like an official Indian guy, do not fall for them because I find that very strange and very prolific. And the whole thing that it's not a turn on if you're Punjabi because I've done a bunch of dates with those guys and it's just really, really freaking uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable, guys. If you're me, do not be stupid enough to fall for that. I'm stupid enough, but that's one of my funny stories for this episode. I find really funny. But I think a lesson on number 2022, or basically, here's my lesson for every brown girl who's out there. If a guy asks you to drink and he's fucking brown, red flag, Richmond Hill Fob. So, ladies and gentlemen, do not fall for them because they're not worth it. And they're also really cocky. So that's kind of one of my interesting stories. And also, um, drinking never a bad idea, but with your friends it's fine. But also, I from that lesson that I learned from the series is the haunting story of brown guys are everywhere, and it's kind of scary and funny at the same time that I remember this story because I think it's one of the biggest things that happened to me recently that I thought like wouldn't come to bite me back in the ass, but lesson of the story: I am not your desi average brown girl, and not every dude will do that. But also, moral of the story is if a brown guy asks you to go to a car and drink, do not fall for it. And if a guy does sweat like that, it's very strange. And 3, I hopefully it's myself, not just everyone. Um, Alcohol is fun, drinking is fun, but never ever flirt with a guy who's that ugly because you may be drunk, you may be stupid, but it's just no, just don't. Just don't fucking do it. Don't fucking do it. But yes, that is one of my funny stories for this episode. I'm gonna have another funny story for the end of the year because it's only December 11th, but I also do post every week or so. So we're gonna try to get another one up by next week for the new year. But yes, it's finals week. But yes, that is the end of today's episode. It's so awesome to do this again. This is definitely gonna go up as soon like tonight. But it's so much more fun. But thank you guys for listening in today's episode. And if you have anything interesting for you need me to talk about, you have any interesting topics, let me know because we're gonna get this thing started. We're gonna get there because it's so important. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna be so much fun. I hope everyone has a good week, start of the week. So hopefully this makes your morning a funny story. I hope this makes your morning, and yeah, I hope everyone has a good finals week because I don't know if everyone's doing finals in college at this time of the year. I would like to assume that everyone is, but I don't know. Yeah, I hope you guys good luck with everyone's finals, good luck with life, and I will see you guys next week. I will see you guys. I will see you guys next week for next week's episode, which is going to be very interesting. But yeah,